Hey guys, FollowMate here, with a step-by-step guide on how to make boats with no mods or Creation Club add-ons required. This design is a lot different from the boat I made a few months ago, where I used floor platforms to make the hull. Instead, we'll be using tracking pieces that come from the Contraptions DLC, which have a nice curvature and give it a better look in my opinion. I added a lower deck for extra space as well, which my other boat didn't have. I also scavenged for non-workshop items around the Commonwealth and brought them into the boat to decorate with. This character PC save file is up for download in my members only community post. If you're on PC and want to see my builds firsthand, you can support the channel and get something in return. We'll start building the lower deck on land, and once we have most of our boat finished, we'll use a concrete column to place it in the water. Keep in mind that our lower deck will have to sit above the water or it will get flooded. Depending on how straight and neatly you set up your structures, you might be able to expand this lower deck later on. I snapped these half wall pieces from the structures warehouse category, around 4 pieces of small wooden floors. You should have a nice little square like this. We're then gonna place a wood floor beside the top of the half wall pieces. I opted to use a concrete column glitch to set the first one in place. Once it's aligned to your liking, encase the whole thing with more floor pieces. I used the shack wall from the wood structures menu to put in front of the main deck. This piece wasn't snapping along my floor pieces, so I had to place it manually with a concrete column. So it should look something like this. Now for some reason my supply line keeps on assigning itself. I'd be building and minding my own business and materials just suddenly drop down to 0. I've had to reassign my supply lines like 5 times for this build. I have no idea why, but if you guys know how to fix this, let me know in the comments. Anyways, I set up some random wall pieces around the main deck while I laid down the main floor foundation. It should look something like this. Now we'll move on to one of the most tedious parts of this build, which is the hull. We'll be using the bolt track funnel pieces from the bolt tracks menu under the structures category. We'll be setting them up one by one using the column glitch. The top of the funnel piece should be touching the side of our floor foundation. We'll repeat this several times until it's completely encased with it. Now based on how well you align everything so far, you might be able to expand the lower deck here with floor and wall pieces, which will cover some of the gaps. If your floor pieces aren't snapping at all, you might have to set them up manually with the concrete column. I did have some small gaps on the front and back, and I couldn't find wall pieces small enough to cover them. So I opted to use wooden posts from the wire fence menu under the structures category. I was able to expand the livable part of the lower deck still, which was nice. Our boat should look something like this so far. Next we'll be filling in some of the gaps on the hull with bolt track split pieces. You should be able to concrete glitch these in between the funnel pieces. I did run out of wood here, so I flew to my hangman's alley to pick up junk and get my diseases treated since I'm playing survival. Then went to Diamond City to buy some wood shipments. In retrospect, I should have had a doctor and some shops set up nearby for this reason, but it is what it is. Our hull is pretty much done at this point. There are still some small gaps in between the track pieces, which I don't mind. But if you want to fill them, there are smaller wooden pieces under the bolt track menu with the same curvature. We also have some gaps between the hull and the floor foundation that we will fill up later in the video. I did set up some scaffolding and concrete railings on top of the funnels, which does help cover some of these gaps. But I wanted to add some variations to the railings on the sides. I used the conduits that are sticking out from the bolt track split pieces and connected them so it looks like rope. Then I use these Nuka World arrow signs as part of the wall to complement the rope. You do need to complete some part of the Nuka World DLC to unlock these arrows. When we're done with this part, it should look something like this. We'll be using wall signs from the wall decorations menu to cover the gaps under the floor foundation. The size of this gap will depend on how well you aligned everything at this point. We'll be adding some buoys afterwards to cover some of these signs. These buoys are from the Far Harbor DLC. Next, we'll move on to the main deck walls. I glitched in a window wall piece from the warehouse menu and into the wooden shack. I then replaced these shack walls with the warehouse half wall pieces we used earlier for the lower deck. Grabbed a wooden post with a concrete column and placed it on the corner to connect it to the roof. Then I glitched in some wire fences to act as a window screen. Our boat is looking pretty solid so far, but it's still missing the motor. Now for the motor, I used a cappuccino machine from the decorations menu and attached 2 conveyor belt diverters on its side. You can find these under Power, then Manufacturing, and under the Conveyor Belts menu. I used an outhouse piece from the barn structures to hold our makeshift motor. I added some wooden posts to connect the outhouse piece to the hull. This part is optional, but I put in my power generator by the propeller and glitched in a conduit rod so it looks like they're connected. So now with the main structure completed, we can put our boat in the water. If you did build a lower deck, you'll want to set up your boat just above water so it doesn't get flooded. Now we'll put in some fenders around our boat. I scavenged some tires off the Warwick Homestead and the Add-on Cat's garage to put around the gaps above the funnel. Nothing can go through the tires, but we can hold them in place with some well-placed conduit rods. I actually got this idea from a Reddit user on a post that I made a few days ago. So shout out to Impressive Cause 872. It's a very time-consuming process, so I don't expect everybody to replicate it. An easier alternative is setting up conduits and hanging life preservers instead. You can find about 8 of them in the Yangtze submarine north of the castle. It's worth putting the junk items you're gonna use for decoration in a container outside your workshop so it doesn't accidentally get scrapped for materials. Next, we'll be making the ladders out of conduit rods. You'll find these under the power category, and it's pretty straightforward. You align the rods and use the concrete column to set them in place. The wooden ladder uses the same technique, except that I use wooden posts on the sides. Now moving on to the top of the deck. I used the same conduit rods to make part of the railing. I set up the first one in place with a concrete column and snapped the other ones until the area was encased. I used these power speakers and connected them with wire so it looks like rope. You can find these under the power category, then the miscellaneous menu. All we got left now is to decorate with junk and add in a boat panel. I scavenged around for non-workshop items and found a couple of car seats off of the Warwick Homestead settlement, along with a wooden crate, a large garbage can, and some other minor stuff. I kept the lower deck simple with just a bed and a couple of containers beside it. On the other side, I added those car seats we found earlier along with a small shelf with some consumables. I used a rock glitch to set up some furniture pieces, then set up a boat computer panel by using a conduit switch and a Voltec population management console. After setting up the lights and tweaking some stuff here and there, I chose to add in a flag. Normally, wall decorations are bound to whatever they're attached to, but if you place them on an already existing wall, like the one here in Spectacle Island, you can grab it using the concrete column glitch. I placed it on a wooden post, then moved it to the top of the boat. And that about does it. Our boat is complete and ready to set sail. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial and found it helpful in some way. These videos do take a while to make, so if you enjoy this kind of content and want to support my channel, don't forget to comment, leave a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, I'll see you guys on the next one.